All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is what I think the best weekend in all of the NFL season and postseason, and that is the divisional playoff weekend. And I think we already saw it with the two games last night. You had an absolute thrashing of Green Bay by Colin Kaepernick and the rest of the 49ers. Yep. Colin Kaepernick going for the most yards ever in any game, not just postseason, but regular season as well. Most yards ever on the ground by a quarterback. And then, of course, that fantastic, hard-fought game between the Broncos and the Ravens where we saw the return of the Manning face, which just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Don't forget about the shoulders and the hands a little bit.
Right,
you know.
everything. It's just everything.
Thank you all in the helmet mark on his
All right,
forehead.
I'm trying to get the introduction done. No one knows what we're listening to right now. You're listening to the Hangover Wakeup. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jake Donnelly. With me is Sean Donnelly, former stat head at ESPN, and my little brother Zeke Donnelly, who is the linebacking coach at the undefeated New England Prep Super Bowl winning team, Suffield Academy Tigers in Suffield, Connecticut. And while we did just start a little bit off with the football, we are actually going to switch gears a little bit. We have a very good show, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Celtics resurgence as well as the Hall of Fame voting. And that's where we're going to start off right now with the Hall of Fame voting. The first time since 1965 that the Hall has added no living members. 1965 that no living members have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not even going to have us talk about Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, where we know why they weren't voted in.
Right.
Because the writers all have a gigantic, Babe Ruth-sized baseball bat stuck up an unspecified orifice. We know what that's about. That's about the steroids that they have taken, and everyone knows they have taken. It's not hearsay. They have taken steroids, or if not steroids, they have taken performance-enhancing drugs.
Right.
The two people I want to talk about, Craig Biggio with 3,060 hits. Anybody that has 3,000 hits is a lock for the Hall of Fame first ballot. So I have no idea why he didn't get voted in. And then Jeff Bagwell. Now, Bagwell is the one I really want to delve into because he is a little bit murkier in terms of people think that, you look at him and you say that, you know what, he gained exponentially, just got bigger and bigger and bigger since his first year. However, there has been absolutely zero credible evidence that says that Jeff Bagwell has taken any performance-enhancing drugs. There's one admission by Bagwell that he took Andro. That admission, and when he said it, was when Andro was legal, a legal substance. That's like somebody coming back and is saying, you know what, you're going to be arrested because you had a drink during the Volstead Act, if you had it 5 years before. It makes no sense to retroactively say that, okay, you know what, you use a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you watched any of the 30 and 30 stuff on ESPN?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
They did a thing about the 88 100 final at the Seoul Olympics, which was Ben Johnson. And there was a couple guys that were taking, I guess, steroid precursors.
Right.
That if they were taking them now would have actually been considered fine. Mm-hmm. But
At
maybe
time,
that with a Bagwell, that's kind of where Jake's going right now. Is that?
Yeah,
what you're saying?
it's as simple as because there is no evidence against Bagwell taking performance-enhancing drugs that are illegal. There's one admission of Andro, which he has always been forthright about. But other than that, he says, I've done everything by the books. If you look at me, I did the dumbest thing in the world, which was I lifted too much. I didn't lift like a baseball player. I lifted like a weightlifter.
He was a big guy.
Yeah, and now, the thing with Jeff Bagwell is, the association by name, Andro, it's what McGuire took.
Right.
Same thing.
That's why
McGuire
he
took
admitted
it.
it at
McGuire
the time.
took it when it was legal, when it wasn't illegal to take.
Correct.
Right. And then, but like you said with the lifting, when it came, you sit there and you look at Barry Bonds' stance, and he's got that standing up tall, like a skinny man, like he was in, Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes. Oh, people don't even realize that's Barry Bonds. Great cameo.
People, if you have a moment, watch Rookie of the Year. Great movie all around. Just saying. But at one point when
go foul.
Going through one of the strikeout montages, it's Barry Bonds. He is no bigger than the bat he holds at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the thing with Bagwell is if you look at his stance, he had that wide, stance.
The Bagwell stance.
Right, the Bagwell stance where it's literally from one end of the box to the other. he had to have those big, strong legs and that strong upper body, that torso, to get power coming through that ball. So he had to lift just to supplement his swing, whereas Bonds had such a great, Bonds had an amazing.
He was a Hall
swing
of Famer before he started taking.
I mean, the guy was an MVP before
in '93.
Right.
Yeah, and clearly the best player,
winner.
right? And the only thing he didn't have was an arm, and Sid Bream will tell you that. Sid Bream will tell you, and Sid Bream is obviously the guy who went headfirst into home plate for the Braves, one of the best calls in all of baseball. Sean McDonough's save, which is just him squealing.
Who's the name of the guy for the Braves who got the hit, the catcher? The guy had like 3 hits his whole career. It was like Cabrera. I remember that moment. I think it was a feet first slide, by the way. Pop slide.
Was it? I'm trying to remember.
And he came up clapping.
Yes, and then he got absolutely destroyed by everybody.
He got speared.
Yeah, but he was. Sid Bream was one of those guys you could time with a calendar or sundial.
Yeah, and that's why I mean, like, because people think that Barry Bonds was 4 tools. The only thing he didn't have was an absolute arm, but he had the speed, and he was one of the best guys. You talk to anybody, and they say he was one of the few people who could steal a base on command.
Yeah.
And this is why, the reason I bring that up. Okay, we're going to talk about why Jeff Bagwell should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame because he has not taken any steroids and because he was one of the most dominant players of the 1990s and early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Now, people forget that because there were such big guys hitting monster home runs.
He won an MVP.
1994 in the strike-shortened season, He had 39 home runs. We're going to just go through right now quickly, okay? We'll start off with a little advanced metrics, and then we'll go to the normal stuff, okay? Jeff Bagwell is overall the 6th in JAWS. What JAWS is, it takes career wins over replacement player total, and it takes the 7-year peak total and divides it by 2. It's a way to measure.
I need a nap.
Yeah, I know. You do need a nap.
I went to state school.
JAWS is the way to measure how they rank in terms of other Hall of Famers. Okay, that's the whole point. Jeff Bagwell ranked 6th in terms of all first basemen all time. He ranks behind Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Foxx, Albert Pujols, Cap Anson, and Roger Connor. It just so happens to be that he ranks in front of Frank Thomas, Jim Thome, Rafael Palmeiro, Todd Helton, and Mark McGwire. Right, you're doing something right.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Now, career stats for Jeff Bagwell: career 297 hitter, 408 on base percentage, 540 slugging. He hit 449 home runs, drove in 1,529 runs, scored 1,517 runs, and stole. How many bases do you think he stole in his career?
7.
Ooh, I was gonna say 3.
202.
What?
202. People always forget that. Jeff Bagwell could steal. Remember, what these guys, if you're doing the right stuff, your muscles, you're good. He's 67th in total bases, 65th in doubles, 63rd in runs scored. He's 42nd in extra base hits all time, 41st in on-base percentage. This man did everything that you had to do to be one of the best players of all time. And that's what he is. He's one of the best players of all time. And, I don't know, there's a place called the Hall of Fame where that's what you're supposed to do. Right. You vote in the best players of all time. It doesn't make any sense to me why Jeff Bagwell, who has never once been mentioned on the Mitchell Report, he has never once been accused, besides some person at like a grocery market or something, said, this guy looks like he's on Jeff Perlmutter. Fantastic writer. Says he doesn't pass the eye test. Excuse me.
I don't know what the eye test is. I mean, especially, when it came out, when Canseco had his list,
right,
and everyone was like, he's crazy. There's no way that any of these guys are taking steroids. And over the years, A-Rod, all these guys started coming out. Still, no mention of Bagwell. And you would think, if anything, it would be in his report, and not Canseco's report.
Right, in the Mitchell Report. He'd show up somewhere. Right. I mean, he was best friends with Ken Caminiti.
Right.
It's all circumstantial. Caminiti said, this guy did it, this guy did it.
He named names.
Yeah. And the biggest admission by Caminiti was that when he was in San Diego, he said he screwed himself over because he didn't learn and he didn't know how to use the performance-enhancing drugs.
When to be on a cycle and
right,
off a cycle.
on and off. So let me see. If he didn't know how to do it in San Diego, and Jeff Bagwell was on his team in Houston, and Jeff Bagwell supposedly did the steroids with him, don't you think he would have learned before he got to San Diego?
Well, so basically you're inferring that by culture, I guess there would have been steroids in the Houston clubhouse.
Right, that's what people say, right? Because Cam Caminiti was on him. But all of these are circumstantial. Go ahead, Sean.
In my thinking or my perception of Caminiti was that it seems like he did that as a solitary thing, where it was like, what did McGuire pick up steroids from Canseco, and so it was going on in the clubhouse. They were actually shooting up in a stall in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
but like you didn't. And Jake is actually selling himself and Bagwell pretty well here. I have to admit.
Well, thank you.
Because you would suspect that there is a culture in place for a club to do steroids if it's going on, especially you can't.
And I've
the
been
eye
in these
testing.
clubhouses. I've been in these clubhouses. I've been in a couple major league clubhouses. I moonlighted as a bullpen catcher in the minor leagues for a summer. I've seen it. You know exactly what everybody else is doing. Even guys where you don't speak their language, you know who is doing what. It's very simple. It is very simple. The reason that Jeff Bagwell, this is one of my favorite things about Jeff Bagwell, okay? Mm-hmm. He says he started heavy lifting in 1995. He says, I was going through divorce and everything was just bad. So he gets to spring training. And Mike Hampton takes a look at him. The pitcher, Mike Hampton, takes a look at him. And this is according to Jeff Bagwell. Hampton goes, dude, what's wrong with you? You're so skinny. You look like you're on crack. And then Bagwell goes, I look at my stats, and he says, they're not bad. 21 home runs, 87 runs batted in, with a 290 batting average in 114 games.
That doesn't scream.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that doesn't scream steroids. No. Remember, Bagwell was also Rookie of the Year. It's not like this guy all of a sudden popped in and was one of the best players.
Oh, by the way, he's a Connecticut native, and he went to University of Hartford.
Of Hartford. Right,
I thought we should probably say that.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons Jake's probably defending him as much as he is. Go ahead.
Very much so. And so Bagwell says, okay, I'm never going to have anybody say, I look skinny, I look like I'm a crack, I look like I'm on crack. So what does he do? He starts lifting. There is so much downtime from day to day. That's what baseball is downtime. You play 160 games, or 162 if you want to actually say the correct number.
Not including spring training.
Not including spring training, not including postseason. Traveling is awful. There's no other sport where the travel is as bad. Even when you're flying in the commercial, you've got your own planes, it still sucks. You spend 3 days, you're almost never home. When you're home, who knows if that's even where you make your home? Somebody who plays on the Red Sox could actually be from California.
Yeah.
It's awful travel. And yet, for somebody to do what Jeff Bagwell did, which was year in and year out, be, if not the top 3 first basemen in the steroid era without taking steroids. He never had a peak season. He declined exactly when he was supposed to decline.
Right.
There is nothing besides just, he got big. Well, the entire culture from about 1980 on was these guys all of a sudden knew how to start lifting.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think it's more of a symptom of not so much Bagwell's using steroids as the fact that he maybe never played for anything significant in his career?
And he had the one World Series, but by that time...
who?
For Houston, at the very end. It was when
that was Carlos Beltran?
Right, that was right before he got traded.
It was, remember, it was always the killer bees with Bell, Biggio, and Bagwell. Then Berkman and Beltran came in, and they got swept by Chicago.
Right.
But the reason you don't remember Bagwell in that one was because it was part of his last 2 to 3 years where he had the arthritic shoulder.
He was a pinch
where by his own admission, he couldn't throw the ball more than 10 feet. So he was DHing. And that's the other thing. He has a 297 average. When his last 3 years, he couldn't do anything with his shoulder.
Yeah, and obviously still playing in the National League, he couldn't DH. So it was either he played or he sat. And
until the World Series, he DH'd. He went 1 for 8.
Yeah.
But in terms of best first baseman of all time, he ranked 6th. Sixth.
The other thing is with him is it's maybe just unfortunate the class he's in. Because to me, it almost seemed like it was already written in stone that no one was going to get in. Like, the Hall of Famers kind of had it set in stone because they're like, this is the McGuire,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So they're almost setting a precedent where kind of Biggio and Bagwell just got thrown in there with them and all, and on the outside looking in. But I think in the years to come, out of the next ballot and this ballot going to next year, they're going to get in before McGuire, before these other guys.
Right. And to me, I like that point, but it makes absolutely no sense. You vote the guys who are
absolutely
in that.
not.
Okay,
no,
so
I agree with you, but I think that this has been, it's the first steroid era Hall of Fame ballot. So there's
real true one.
Right.
Palmeiro, the Hall of Fame voters said you're not in. But even that, Palmeiro is still one of the best players. You take the era that they play in and you vote the players in on that era.
The other thing is that a lot of people have to now acknowledge historically is that, granted, there was a steroid era, but before the steroid era, people were taking amphetamines.
No, this is
where it's crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
Like crazy. They were hopped up. Guys were taking drugs and going out in the field.
Jim Bouton's ball 4. That's all he mentions. He mentions greenies. He calls them M&Ms.
Yeah, the thing is, is that a performance-enhancing drug?
And that's what I mean. When I brought up the schedule, that was the point I was going after. A performance-enhancing drug, and amphetamines, by the way, are now illegal. So if you voted anybody in from 1950 to 1970 or
even
so,
now, it was the last 10 years.
Exactly. Those are some of the best performance-enhancing drugs because you cannot, unless you have lived that life where you're in and out of planes, in and out of buses, you don't realize how good an amphetamine would be to just jack you up and get you going. It's like 12 coffees. Chris Farley, would have just OD'd the second he ever met amphetamines, if that was his thing. Yeah. So, I'm low-king. So, in terms of PEDs, amphetamines ranks right up there with steroids. Guys would never have been able to play as many games or at high of a level as they did without amphetamines. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion about the putrid Hall of Fame voting. But for now, we're going to take a short break. Remember, when we come back, you can give us a call at 603-883-9900. For now, we're taking a short break here on the Hangover Wakeup.
The Manchester Monarchs host the Springfield Falcons at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 15th, followed by a special Los Angeles Kings night when the team battles the Providence Bruins at 7 p.m. on Saturday, January 19th. The Monarchs will wear specialty Kings jerseys, and the first 2,000 fans will receive Kings jersey banks courtesy of St. Mary's Bank. Purchase tickets to the games, call 626-7825 or online at manchestermonarchs.com. You're in Monarchs country.
Hey, I heard you took your kids to Conway Arena last week.
Yeah, that's right. It was a great way to spend the afternoon. We skated, had hot chocolate. The kids loved it.
Sounds good, but is it expensive?
Not at all. Where else can you spend 2 hours enjoying some real family time for only $5 per skater?
Man, it's hard to find anything to do with the kids for $5 these days.
Tell me about it. They had rental skates for all of us. It was clean, warm. They really take the time to make sure the rink is family friendly.
Well, I know what I'm doing with the boys this weekend.
Find out more at conwayarena.com.
Hey, it's me, your piggy bank. Remember when you were a little kid? All the dimes and quarters in my back? Yeah, that was good times. Good times. Now lately, I gotta be honest, you've been ignoring me. Money's been slipping through your hands like a greased pig. Get it? Because Anyway, I know how it is. Now that you get a real paycheck, it's nice to have stuff. You'll start saving money next year. Well, I hate to tell you, but good saving habits start now. Put just $20 in the bank a month. Make your own coffee at home instead of that latte every morning. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Those changes alone could save you thousands of dollars a year. Come on, I'm your piggy bank. We can be together again, me and you, the special times. Anyway, if you don't want me to cry anymore, feed me. Go to feedthepig.org for more ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
In the next 60 seconds, 156 people will be added to Earth's population. Many will face a life of poverty, hunger, and poor health. At some point, planet Earth may no longer be able to sustain our world's population. But overpopulation is not just a numbers game. It's also about a better quality of life, which includes access to basic health care, food, clean water and a sustainable balance between people and our natural resources. If you think overpopulation is such a big problem that you can't make a difference, think again. Population Connection is the national grassroots organization that believes through education and information, individuals can make a difference. Take the time to make an investment in a better, safer, less crowded world. Even small choices can make an impact. To learn more, visit populationconnection.org. That's populationconnection.org. A public service message from Population Connection.
Oh, yeah. We need The Rock here this morning. Good morning, everybody.
Right.
Little Alice in Chains to just get you going. We're just coming out of the populationconnection.org commercial. I'll tell you one place that isn't overpopulated right now, and that is the Baseball Hall of Fame, the thing we were talking about in our first segment here.
And boom goes the dynamite.
I thought you were talking about the Jets locker room. But anyways.
That's a good one, too. And we are going to get to everything related to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs in a second, but we do have to wrap up our little discussion about the Baseball Hall of Fame. Okay. Am I correct, guys? Is there, if you take out performance-enhancing drugs, who is in this year's Hall of Fame? You've got Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds. Best two players the last 25 years. Kurt Schilling has to be in the Hall of Fame. His regular season numbers, they're about as good as people remember.
The guy had an extended career. It's just like his best years were towards the end of his career because that's when he learned how to work.
And yet you forget he had back-to-back 300K seasons at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
One of the most dominating guys with terrific flow, which is always a fun thing to look
flow.
at. Yeah, very good flow.
Good solid
And then
flow.
he went up and joined with the flow master when he went to Arizona.
The
Randy
mullet, the lefty himself.
And he was co-MVP of a series in which he and Randy Johnson stole that World Series title away from the Yankees.
That was awesome.
And Mariano Rivera blowing a save in the 7th inning is awesome.
Anytime you take that.
So much so that Buster Olney wrote a book, The End of the Yankees, or The Last Night of the Yankees Dynasty, which is a terrific read, by the way. And apparently Mariano Rivera in the pregame speech, or in the pregame locker room there in the clubhouse, Joe Torre makes this terrific speech, and they're all like, all right, we're all good to go. And then, according to Olney, they say awkwardly, Rivera gets up when nothing had to be said and just says, just get me the ball. That's all he said. They were like, everyone in the clubhouse says, no one had to say anything. We all knew what we had to do. And then as this perfect moment is lingering, when even I would know when to shut up, and you two know that never happened. You object?
No.
Okay. But at this perfect moment where it was clear that no one needed to say anything, Rivera said something, and then, of course, he ends up blowing the save in the 7th inning. And Luis
there's no way you know not when to talk. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
All right. So, anyways, you've got Clemens, you've got Clemens, you've got Bonds, you've got Palmeiro should be in there. Tim Raines needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Even a fringe guy like Kenny Lofton has to really.
See, the thing is, do you have to skew your viewpoint to somehow put this filter on when you look at a guy as to whether or not he did steroids and his eligibility?
Hey, he's got a
For the Hall of
microphone,
Fame.
we swear.
Yeah, for me, it's all about looking at the era you play in.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Hall of Fame is. The Hall of Fame says these are the greatest guys of the era.
Yeah.
Because if you look at some of the power hitters of the 1920s,
Yeah.
they're not jacking 40 home runs. So you take the guys who are the best players of that era.
Right.
That's all it is. Whether you want to do it by position, by pure statistics, you take it of that. The fact that Mike Piazza is not in the Hall of Fame is also a massive tragedy.
Huge.
Now, is he an eye test guy?
That's the whole
Yes.
thing. Because he had back knee galore. That is the contention against Piazza.
See, but you can't. We're imbuing these writers and what have you with this like ability to judge someone based solely on hearsay evidence,
Which is so un-American.
right? And I don't. I think if you're going to be accountable about it, if you go to a guy's face and you ask him if he lies about it, then so be it.
Right.
If we find out later on down the line, like the historical record judges that these guys were using steroids, you don't let them in. But at the same time, like, really, what's it matter? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just, I don't know, kind of the, the club, the
right, the
number,
poshness, the aura of the Hall of Fame.
The only reason that these guys are being kept out of the Hall of Fame is the character clause, which says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you vote upon their numbers and also upon the character of the individual and how he represents baseball.
Okay,
Ty Cobb
but okay, both of those individuals as people were horrible people. And by the political correct standards of today, if those people had those views now and there was Hall of Fame voting, they wouldn't get in.
Yeah, and this is the whole point. What's even worse, Sean, even worse than all of this, the writers who are keeping these guys out are the same people who completely ignored doing their job during the 1990s.
Completely ignored, and through this whole PED thing, and what you were talking about with the amphetamines, they were the same writers this whole time.
The whole time. It's not like the writers go into retirement. These guys have had their votes, and they've been writers
Some of these guys
for 20, 25
right,
years. Yeah. Some for 40. These are the same guys who are upholding the integrity. Where in the blue hell was your integrity during the 1990s when you're staring at Mark McGwire, who looks like a world's strongest man, looks like Magnus Vard Magnuson,
he did.
And you have Barry Bonds, whose head size makes Sean look small.
Oh,
we knew that was coming there. Yeah, we knew
it couldn't happen
because it makes us stop. So, okay, here's the best example. I'm not sure if many of you people listening right now, if you read Deadspin, it's a very good sports blog, but they brought up this one point. Pud Galvin, 1889. Okay,
how do you get a nickname, Pud? That's not a given name.
Yeah, it's not for the air.
Right, exactly.
The FCC.
All right, go ahead.
From an 1889 New York Times article on the phenomenon that was sweeping the nation, okay? Dr. Loomis calls his report an experimental study of the Brown sequard theory. He says that the elixir has found good supporters in the approved schools of medicine. His conclusions from experience are that the fluid is potent to increase the strength of the human organism, presumably in old men, not by structural change, but by nutritive modification, that the alterations in muscular structure, not essentially allied to old age, may disappear, and a consequent recovery of former power by the tissue may supervene, and that finally the subject is worthy of further investigation. Sean, do you know what the Brown sequard theory is?
Well, I think you're probably talking about cocaine. I just figured.
No, I am talking about eating monkey testicles.
Oh.
As a way to improve testosterone.
That was my next guess.
Well, then.
Exactly.
Well.
Hey, guys in baseball have been trying to cheat the system since baseball. Cheating in baseball is as baseball as it gets.
It is baseball.
It is baseball. Gaylord Perry, he does something that was illegal at the time. He joked about it in every interview. He goes, "How'd you get so much movement on the ball?" He goes, "Well, I had a little help from my own personal self." He just putting anything he could put on the ball. He's throwing spitballs, guys with tacks, sandpaper. If you're not, the old saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. It is no more correct than in baseball.
Yeah, and I remember one thing growing up, sitting on the bench when we weren't in playing baseball. Coaches would turn around and say, "Try to steal their signs."
Right.
Try to do this, pick because
so
that's
where do you draw that line? No, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Where do you stop saying, this is cheating, this is gamesmanship? Oh, it's against the rules. Stealing signs is against the rules.
But people do all the time.
Okay, Roger Bannister, the first man to run a 4-minute mile, first man to run a mile in under 4 minutes.
Yep.
At the time, training was cheating. Purely training. You used to take off your loafers and just run. They thought that literally training for the event that you were participating in, they thought that was cheating because it was all supposed to be God-given talent and natural talent. And that training was a way to circumvent that and to do it unnaturally. So where is this long thing stop? That's what I hate. Remember, folks, you can always call in and get your opinion heard.
Yeah.
The number here for WGAM, the game, is 603-883-9900. That number again is 603-883-9900. Or you could tweet me on my Twitter handle, which is Jacob Donnelly 31, JACOB DONNELLY, the number 3, the number 1. And now we are going to switch gears a little bit and go to what I know the two of you want to talk about, and that is the divisional round of the playoffs. So I will open it up to both of you guys. Do we talk about the Patriots and the Texans right now, or do we talk about the return of the Manning face, where I called the overtime interception and made me feel so much fun? It just made me feel...
Did you put it on your Twitter feed, Jake?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
But I was watching it, and I have witnesses that said, they asked, what do you think's going to happen here? I go, I've got a good feeling that Manning's going to come up with an overtime interception.
Yeah,
and sure enough.
Anytime a Manning tries to do anything athletic in the sense where you're rolling, cross your body, throwing back into the middle.
Not his throw.
No.
And the person I was watching the game with yesterday, he had mentioned while watching Joe Flacco, it appeared that that surgeon that stuck that horseshoe up the unspecified orifice of Eli Manning took it out of Eli Manning and put it into Joe Flacco. Because some of the throws, it wasn't that the throws he was making. The way I would phrase it, the throws he was getting away with.
Yeah, like the
last touchdown.
Right before the half.
Right before the half. So many throws. He made a perfect, I'll give him credit, he made a perfect back shoulder seam pass from out of his own end zone, 25 yards down the field. I mean, that is an unconscious throw.
Yeah.
That is when you're feeling it. But at the same time, he had 3 separate possible interceptions dropped, 1 in overtime.
I mean, it's one of those things where you go, oh, God, all right, yes, here comes an interception. And then Champ Bailey shorts the coverage, and the safety comes over and mistimes the jump. It's like, okay, never mind. I guess
and you're watching it. Okay, as you're watching, I don't know you guys, but I'm watching it, and I'm looking at the trajectory of the ball, which when it left his hand, you're like, this is a pop-up. And now it goes out of the screen. So you look at the wide receiver, and you look at the defensive back. And you look at the wide receiver, and you say, okay, interesting. You take a look at the defensive back, and you go, they're on 2 different routes right now. One guy is positioned about 5 yards away from the other at their ankles. You go, one of them is completely misreading it. There's no way it could be the defensive back.
You're like, he's looking at the ball the whole time. There's no way it's him messing up.
Right.
And then he jumps, comes back to earth.
Backpedaling, jumping.
And then the ball goes over his head on the...
it was just so bad. And the one thing at that point is, what are you watching out for? You're watching out for the deep bomb. That's the only pass.
That's what your coaches are yelling at you. Nothing over your head.
Don't let anybody get behind you. And if you looked at the replay, they showed the aerial
Why are you
view.
leaving your feet for the safety? Why?
Why when it's that? Just turn. He was backpedaling for 10 yards.
Okay, even if he caught the ball, just stay on your feet and make the tackle.
Yeah, he did everything. Put it this way, I think he'd like that one back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'd like that one back.
I think he would, because they'd be playing next week if he did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, because you're right. That was the game-tying touchdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then Peyton Manning, after putting up, remember, their offense, the Broncos offense, only put up 21 points against the Ravens. Did not move the ball all that well in overtime. And it appeared, you would think that the longer that game went on, you always hear that the longer the game goes on, the better team is more than likely going to prevail.
Yeah.
Especially at Mile High when they have that advantage. They have the physical, geographical advantage of having practiced in thin air, as opposed to the Ravens, who have to go all the way to Mile High. And I don't know if, I believe we have mostly New Englanders listening to us right now.
Yep.
If you've ever been to Colorado, it's no joke. You walk up a flight of stairs, and it's like someone punched you in the stomach. It's that simple. I am a fairly in-shape person. I literally walk up 2 flights of stairs in Colorado, and I am sucking wind.
It's easy to get altitude.
Yeah, it's altitude. Altitude.
I started that.
That's your fault.
It's on me.
All right. But yeah, so what was the most surprising thing to you in the game between Baltimore and Denver yesterday? Was it Manning turning back to the old Manning of the playoffs? 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, multiple interceptions, and an interception that practically sealed the game against his team. Was it the Ravens' ability to hang around? Was it Joe Flacco finding whatever it is Joe Flacco does?
Well, the Broncos had no running game.
Right.
They could. That's what kept them.
And Zeke is furious.
No, because I'm going to make a better point. But
Go ahead.
what I was going to say, the thing that was most shocking, and it does have to do with, it actually works against the running game, is John Fox on 3rd and 4s, 3rd and shorts throughout the entire second half. taking the ball out of Peyton Manning's hand and going with the running back who wasn't Sean Moreno because he was hurt.
He was hurt.
Right. And at that point for a fresh or inexperienced running back, he already had about 20 carries and still 3rd and 4 with a run-stopping defense. They're handing the ball off instead of having Peyton Manning, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, with the ball.
So you agreed with Deerdorf there, huh?
Deerdorf had said, what are they doing running the ball? You need the ball in the hands of
Now,
Peyton
granted,
Manning.
I'm a huge proponent for the run game, setting up the pass game.
Yeah.
But 3rd and 4, when your run game is diminished somewhat and you have Peyton Manning, it's got to be in his hands.
And it seemed to me how everyone had talked at the beginning of the season, how is Manning's arm going to hold up under all of the strain of an actual game load? Yesterday, it appeared that
how many attempts?
Off
in the
like
40s?
45,
it was in the 40s.
Like that?
It was
I know
in the 40s. We'll
40.
get the exact number in a second, but it appeared that Manning's arm to me was starting to get a little bit tired. The ball was wobbling a little bit more, and his ball normally wobbles,
just like Brady.
as we're talking about monkey testicles. But
wow! But on that throw, on that last interception throw, that cross body, it almost looked like the ball stalled midair.
Right.
It wasn't just a weak throw cross body. It was a dead arm weak throw cross body.
Yeah. To me, too, the dead arm cross body throw was awful. Just awful throw. And why was he throwing that ball? It was a bad decision.
I think Peyton Manning's asking himself the same question.
That's what I keep coming back to. Peyton Manning makes tremendous decisions all of the time. You saw that throw, and you went, "What? What?
Yeah,
what? What happened?"
You're looking for the rookie who just threw it. You're not looking for Peyton Manning. It's very uncharacteristic.
And Joe Flacco, what the Ravens did to get everything going. Joe Flacco, awful intermediate passer, awful.
Yeah.
Kind of like Eli Manning in that sense, where he's not good at the short to intermediate throws. But if you want somebody to throw a bomb, Joe Flacco can do that.
He's got a cannon.
Rarely overthrows guys. Has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. Dan Deerdorf was saying strongest in the NFL. I can name like 6 guys off that. You've got Cutler, RG3.
It's announcers with superlatives in the mic. Everyone's the best.
They're the greatest.
He's the fastest off the edge. It's like, no, relax.
So that's what it appeared to me, that the Ravens finally got back to their game, which is throwing the deep ball, and that's their offense. Ray Rice on the ground, deep ball through the air, and that's something, if the Patriots win this week, they are really going to have to watch out for, and that's what I like to do as segue. Next segment, we have to take a short break. We will talk, finally, about the Patriots and the Texans, but as I said, for right now, we have to take a short break. You're listening to the Hangover Wakeup on WGAM, The Game.
Are you always struggling last second to find a dependable ride you can rely on to get you to and from the airport? Worry no longer. Silver Chariot Airport Transportation has the best service and the best rates, bar none. Serving Logan and Manchester airports, Silver Chariot Airport Transportation is on time, every time. You can visit their website at www.silverchariot.com or call them at 603-913-5558.
You know, the word sports bar gets thrown around a lot these days. Plays with some wings, flat screen, might be able to pass. But that's not what's going on at the brand new Arena Sports Bar Nightclub. Now open on High Street in Nashua, just off Main Street. The Arena is unlike any establishment to ever open in New Hampshire. This is a world-class venue with more TVs than you will know where to look. Plus, the largest screen in New Hampshire. Heck, it's the largest screen in New England. One of the screens at the Arena is over 100 square feet. Any game looks amazing on it, especially a Pats or Celtics game. Free Wi-Fi for all your fantasy sports and pool tables will keep you busy during whatever game is on. The food at the Arena is unbelievable. They have a chef, not somebody making food. No, an actual chef. Wings, pizza, burgers, the things you'd expect on the menu are outstanding. But the Arena is more than that. Their food is never frozen. It's always fresh. This is a great place for a date with your lady. Patriot fans, you simply have to check out a game at the Arena on one of their awesome television sets. Check out the Arena Sports Bar Nightclub in Nashua this week.
Hi, I'm Anthony Munoz, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals. I was fortunate to have played left tackle for 13 years with the same team, twice in Super Bowls and 11 consecutive years in the Pro Bowl. I said fortunate, not lucky, because I maintain a good work ethic and plan for my good health, working out regularly. I didn't take unnecessary risks. I also wore pads, helmet, and other protective equipment to keep me safe. I'm honored to help the Good Samaritan program and its desire to get soldiers, Marines, and civilians to help reduce mishaps. Team effort is another concept I use throughout my career. Teammates helping teammates will work. The lessons I've learned in my football career can be applied to traffic and off-duty safety. The right equipment like seatbelts, helmets, and motorcycles, and high-risk activities and goggles or glasses will help reduce mishaps. Don't depend on luck to keep you alive. It's better to plan for your future and for your safety. It simply takes a momentary loss of attention to land you on the bench, sidelines, or worse.
Did you know loan modification scams come in all shapes and sizes? They call themselves mortgage consultants, counseling services, or loan rescue firms. They target homeowners on the brink of foreclosure, and these con artists can steal your home.
McGruff the Crime Dog here. Safeguard your finances and protect your home. Start by finding a free legitimate housing counselor today.
Take the first step. Visit ncpc.org/mortgage fraud. This message is from the National Crime Prevention Council and U.S. Department of Justice.
Okay, so we're on the radio show.
Yeah, we're on the radio show. It wasn't. That's not like the most played song on my iTunes playlist or something that was coming through. Three white guys who don't. I've heard the song before. I know that. Do I get credit for that?
It's music.
The little R&B.
Yes.
Music of
so you're listening to the Hangover Wake Up with me, Jake Donnelly, and two of my brothers, Sean and Zeke Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in.
We're related.
We're big Irish boys, except for Zeke there.
Can you believe it?
But before we get into anything else, we've got Bill in Boston on line 3. Bill, what can we do for you this morning?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Just going back to the Baltimore and Denver game you guys are talking about. I think one of the most surprising things about that game, and especially some of the commentators were talking about this, is right at the end of regulation, the Broncos had 31 seconds left, 2 timeouts, and pretty much one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game back in the ball, and they just took a knee. They didn't even want to try to get in the field goal range.
Yeah, and Bill, not only that, but they did the same thing in the first half. They had 3 timeouts in the first half. I believe it was, 36 seconds. And if you have one of the best quarterbacks, who everybody was saying it's neck and neck between Manning and Adrian Peterson for MVP, if you have the MVP, don't you want to use that guy? Isn't that at least worth taking a risk? Or do you think that, okay, here's the question I want to propose to you, Bill. Do you think that they felt so confident in the way their team was playing that they were going to win in overtime? That's the only reason I could think of.
I think you're right. I think that's the really only reason that they were making that. But and I don't think, like you say, there's any blame on how the game went against the Broncos. It would be against the decisions the coach has made in those 2 situations. Because if you trusted Manning all year in what he has done with Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker and Joel Dreesen and Jacob Tamme and anyone that he's thrown around, and Stokely, I'll give it to Stokely. He's been not too bad for how old he's been in the league, but you're not going to trust him for those 2 situations. I mean, just even in the halftime, going into halftime, you're not going to trust him to try and maybe get another 3 points on the board for you.
Mm-hmm. And okay, I can understand 1 timeout, 31 seconds, and if you had Joe Flacco, but you have Peyton Manning. You have more than a half minute. You have multiple timeouts. You're in Denver, of all places, where a 55-yard field goal, even when it's 10 degrees outside, a 55-yard field goal for Matt Prater is nothing. Matt Prater was the MVP of the Broncos last season. Everyone forgets that. He hit ridiculously clutch field goals all season long to propel the Broncos into the playoffs. And yet, John Fox, knowing this, as the head coach of the team last year, still didn't want to take it. The one thing that I was thinking about is, you guys all remember it, first Super Bowl, 2001, against the Patriots. Patriots against St. Louis, the Rams. What did John Madden say? Patriots just got the kickoff, and Madden is telling the Patriots what? Towards the end of regulation. Does he want them to go for the points, or was he saying Brady to kneel down? Cool. He's saying to himself, I think the Patriots should take a kneel down right here. And then what does Brady do? Brady marches all the way down, makes some ridiculous throws to who else but Troy Brown, and the Patriots end up winning the Super Bowl. When it comes to playoff time, there's no game the next week. What are you waiting for? I understand, like, okay, you have some confidence in your team, but all of the momentum was with the Ravens. In the way that the Broncos were playing, they had only scored 21 points on offense. The rest of their scores were a punt return and a kick return. And it wasn't like their defense was really stepping up all of a sudden.
Exactly, but no, I can't put an entire fault, especially on the defense, for that last play when Flacco just hucked it up to Torrey Smith. I'll put most of the blame in. I'm sorry, but that guy probably will not be having a job there in Denver after that.
Yeah.
I put most of the blame on the coaches for not making decisions for those two situations, for not really putting any trust in them. And I'm surprised Manning didn't try to override them in any of those situations. Just be like, so I'm like, no, we're going to run this. We're going to throw it. We're going to keep going. Like, that's more surprising to me as far as like a leader.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, earlier in the game when it was, I think Denver was on their own 43 or something like that, you knew, and third down, fourth down came.
Oh, yes.
You knew Denver was going for it.
You knew Peyton, Manning wouldn't leave the field.
Peyton didn't even flinch. And, he always has that kind of, you were expecting that kind of play from him. And he just went and took a knee. Every time Brady or the Patriots take a knee, it looks like Brady's fighting with Belichick.
Hey, he's always the chin strap.
Yeah,
he's
always mad, and you see that with a bunch of quarterbacks. You didn't see that at all from Manning.
Yeah. All right, Billy, thank you for calling in. Remember, folks, if you want to be heard, the number here at WGAM The Game is 603-883-9900. Billy, thank you very much for that point. Really appreciate it. Okay, so going from one quarterback who was surprisingly knocked out of the playoffs, do we think there is a chance for another elite quarterback to get surprisingly knocked out of the playoffs?
Russell Wilson?
Do we think that Brady is going to be knocked out? The Texans? Okay, we don't at all, right? Think. I said think.
Okay.
No.
It's the same thing that loses every game.
Mm-hmm.
Turnovers.
Okay.
If the Pats keep, I know this sounds so simplistic, but if the Pats don't turn it over more than the Houston Texans, Pats win easily.
That's simple.
Yeah.
And Sean?
And I would even think
head.
that the Pats would still it would still be an incredibly close game, just like the Niners when Pats had 4 turnovers and only lost by 3.
Right.
Yeah, I think they really need some help and some luck. The Texans.
Yeah, the Texans.
Yeah.
And do you think that Brady is locked in? Remember now, this is something that even because everybody remembers the Brady from 2001 and 2003, 2004. They remember that Tom Brady,
right,
who was dominant in the postseason, never made mistakes. Even though in 2001, Drew Bledsoe was actually the guy that came riding in on his white horse full of wine, which he now sells all the time. He's a wine not salesman. He has his own vineyard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's a connoisseur.
Yeah. He's a connoisseur. But remember, Brady got hurt against Pittsburgh in the 2001 AFC Championship game, and Bledsoe had to come in and pretty much bail out the Patriots, and they were also helped out by a Troy Brown punt return because Troy Brown is the greatest human being to walk this green earth. But going back to it, people think about Brady as that dominant postseason quarterback who is the go-to guy at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Brady is very much that in the regular season. Now, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I know I can kind of see Sean's just anger boiling
I'm not angry at all.
Okay.
He's angry.
Brady, very, very, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. One of the best quarterbacks in the regular season. One of the best, statistically speaking, quarterbacks in the postseason. However, the last couple of postseasons, Brady has not been at his best. He dominated, absolutely dominated the Broncos last year.
Yep.
In the divisional round game. Dominated. We were at that game.
It was
phenomenal.
Full team domination, though.
Then, against Baltimore, had a bad game against Baltimore. Then in the Super Bowl, I'll rephrase. He had average games.
Yeah.
Average games against Baltimore. Average games against the Giants where he made some perplexing decisions. Kind of like the same way he did against Seattle. Same way he did against Arizona this year in losses.
It's one of those things where you expect, because it was the first thing that everyone saw, the 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
That's your standard.
And that's your reputation.
Right, and that's your reputation for this clutch, It's almost like some people unrealistically look at it and go, he's going to win every time. It's like, well, people, there's percentages.
Right.
You can't win 100% of the time. It'd be great.
Well, that's the thing. He started off as the guy who had won 100%
and that's the thing
of his games.
So now I think, especially with this bye, with the way that this team, besides for Julian Edelman being on IR, with this team kind of being dinged up. Right. I'm not going to say that they were hurt. They were dinged up for that 2-week span to happen. They said, what was it, earlier in the week? It was the first practice.
First practice.
Right, that they had the full team there minus Julian Edelman on IR.
And Bill Belichick. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's one of those things that excites a team. It gives them energy
you feel good.
Right, because you're looking around, you go, yeah, I got, everyone's here, and now people are going to get reps, and people are going to be rested.
I just want to say something. That one thing that the last couple of years that the Pats have lacked, that they had when they won the Super Bowls, was a dependable running game.
Mm-hmm.
And 2008, they had that dependable running game for the most part. I think this year is the first time since that year that they have.
Corey Dillon, right. Since Corey Dillon left, we had the majestic and was it Fred Astaire? Oh, no, sorry, Lawrence Maroney in the backfield there.
It's a dancer.
Yeah, he's a tiny dancer.
He's a tiny dancer.
Mm-hmm. So finally, you have a guy, Stephen Ridley, who hopefully has gotten the fumble-itis out of his system.
Yep.
And let me see. The over-under on plays from Stephen Ridley, if he fumbles the ball in this game.
0.
Sean says 1.
The one play that he has, if he fumbles, is that play, and then he's done.
Right, he's that's it.
Especially with little number 39, Danny Woodhead.
Great.
Oh,
love watching.
Best year as a Patriot.
Yeah, has fully. We talked about it very early in the season. Has completely formed into the Kevin Falk role.
Yeah,
he is Kevin Falk. Sean said it. I think it was week 2, maybe. Sean says, "I love," and you're not alone in your love of Danny Woodhead.
Right.
But people had not been making the connection between Danny Woodhead and Kevin Falk.
Right.
You were there before everybody else. We gave you a platform in which to sound smart, and somehow. Just miraculously, you did, and you said Danny Woodhead is the new Kevin Falk.
Oh, yeah.
And he is, and you can tell by how much Bill Belichick trusts him and how much Tom Brady trusts him. That is his security blanket, and I think that is really the thing about guys being healthy right now for Brady. You always hear about Brady or Welker being Brady's security blanket.
Yep.
Right now, he is the warmest son of a gun in the NFL. He's got Welker as the security blanket, Grunk, Hernandez, Woodhead, even Lloyd he's looked good with, lately. And people that say, him and Lloyd aren't on the same page, you're not watching the right game at all. You're not watching the right game. The game that you are watching is Brady knows, and they use Lloyd when they need him. If they need a 15-yard back shoulder fade, that's what Lloyd is there for. They need to stretch the field just to clear out that middle. Then Welker, Grunk, Hernandez, and Woodhead.
This is easily the best short yardage not wide receiver, receiving core Brady's ever
Sure-handed.
Between Hernandez, Grunk, Woodhead, Welker. I mean, 10 to 15 yards or 5 to 15, I should say, is just where they're going to make their living.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beautiful if they execute.
Right, and that's something that we're going to talk about in the second hour. It's all about the execution. I think that, and I'm going to go out on a limb and sound like your average run-of-the-mill schmo here, it's going to be one in the trenches.
Jake, you are one of those
average run-of-the-mill schmoes. Okay, you've got Vince Wilfork. The game is Vince Wilfork's. It's that simple. He dominated the last game with the Texans, and if the Patriots dominate the trenches again, there is no shot whatsoever for the Texans to win this game. I think it's going to be all Patriots, but we're going to talk about why we think it's going to be all Patriots in the second hour. We're 1 hour down here on the Hangover Wakeup. Come back in about 7 minutes, and we'll have some more Pats talk for you and get you ready for the divisional matchup between the Patriots and the Texans.
Faded in my boots and brown. I stand for passion and
Second hour of the Hangover Wake Up. I'm Jake Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in with me. It's my older brother Sean Donnelly, a former stat head at ESPN, and my little brother, Zeke Donnelly, who is the linebacking coach for the Super Bowl winning Suffield Academy Tigers, a prep school located in Suffield, Connecticut. So, the Patriots are going up against the Texans. I think everybody knows that part, right? Everybody knows that part.
Yeah, they're playing
Texans,
today.
Yeah, they're playing
4
today
o'clock.
at 4:30. 4:30.
Sean doesn't know it.
Doesn't know.
$3.50. Anyways, they're playing at 4:30. And one of the things that the Patriots like most is when other teams say, oh, I don't know, some team like the Jets, do they have a tendency to run their mouths a little bit?
Squawk box?
Yeah, they're squawk boxes. You wouldn't think that a team like the Texans, anybody on their team in terms of a player or a coach, would really give the Patriots bulletin board material.
That, and they have no validity in their statement.
To do so, yeah. And if you were going to pick on, say, the Patriots wide receivers, who's the last guy you would try to pick on and say he's not as good as people think he is?
Wes Welker.
Wes Welker. So if you were to name one person who shouldn't, yeah, Sean, you get a bonus point.
You get a
there.
high five.
Yeah. If you would pick one person who shouldn't make fun of Wes Welker, let me see, who thinks that maybe his defense shut down the Patriots in the last game. Who do you think should not make any comments about the Patriots offense and their top receiver, Wes Welker?
The defensive back.
The defensive coordinator, maybe? Wade Phillips? You think Wade Phillips shouldn't say something along the lines of, Welker's not A.J. Green. Welker's a good player, but he's not that big or a real athletic guy. Yeah, Wes Welker.
Who is A.J. Green compared to Wes Welker?
Right. Oh, yeah, because all of Wes Welker's lack of athleticism.
Who is this? Who is this person?
This peon comparing himself to Wes Welker.
So Wade Phillips, he's not that big or a real athletic player. And this is still Wade Phillips. He's a quick guy that gets open on option routes. Quarterback Brandon Harris actually played him pretty good. He got a holding penalty that hurt us earlier in the game, but Harris played pretty well. If we don't get him on a speed guy, we're in good shape. So you like the way that your defense played Wes Welker and the rest of the Patriots. Good job. You know what? Yeah, that's terrific. He only had 3 catches for 52 yards. Yeah, you really held him in check. If you think that holding a wide receiver in check is 52 yards, that wide receiver has ridiculous standards.
On 3 catches? I mean, average per catch. What is he talking about?
No idea.
I mean, he's sitting there getting 16, 17 yards a catch. And
the reason for that, Wes Welker, most seasons with 100-yard catches in NFL history. Also, the most seasons with 105 catches, 110 catches, 115, and 120. The most games with 10-plus catches, and 11, and 12, and 13, and 14, and 15 in NFL history. The only player ever with 3 straight 110-catch seasons. And let me see. Oh, yeah. Patriots team records for career receptions, catches in a single season, and yards in a single season, all of which he did in 6 years. So, yeah, he's not a big guy or really athletic. So what you're trying to tell me is that this non-athletic guy just torches everyone. Well, without any sort of athleticism.
Not just that. A.J. Green is comparable.
Right. It's saying that, since we shut down A.J. Green, we'll have no problem with Wes Welker. You do realize that there was 42 points scored on the Texans in the last meeting, and Tom Brady's best red zone threat, Rob Gronkowski, wasn't in the game.
I mean, we saw it. Yeah. It's going to be one thing where, they're going to, as the Patriots try to do I should say what every team tries to do every week by taking some part of the offense out of the, right? The Texans are going to sit there. Obviously, they're focused a lot on Wes Welker, as they should be. He's a threat. But, it's going to be one of those things. They don't have enough people. They're not going to be accountable for everyone coming off the line.
Each team, you're only allowed 11 guys on defense.
Yeah.
So everything we've heard, what do the Texans need to do? The Texans need to get a rush on Tom Brady.
It's got to be
to get a rush, you have to at least go 4 guys and hope that they can get the job done. Because then
usually that's the formula that you beat the Pats with.
But what do the Texans do? The Texans are a blitzing team.
Right.
Tom Brady just happens to be the best quarterback in the NFL at destroying teams that blitz.
Well, if you're depending on trying to throw exotic looks at a QB to, make him do quick decisions.
And bad decisions.
Right. It immediately goes to that guy who runs optional routes real well.
Right. So let me
weird
see. You take the
works.
quarterback who has the best No, you've got the right point there. You've got the quarterback in the NFL who's the best at reading and exploiting blitzes. Right. And you've got the best wide receiver in the NFL at running option routes, running hot routes.
And reading his quarterback.
And reading his quarterback, which, I don't know, is just exactly how you beat blitzes. Mm-hmm. You're not stopping him. So now, go ahead, Zeke.
No, I was just going to say exactly it plays into the Patriots offense. Mm-hmm. They scheme for blitzes. It's their whole plan because, yes, they have deep threats when they want them. Mm-hmm. They're there every once in a while. But like I said, their game is the short game. Their game is those quick hitting. If a blitz is coming or not, they still like those quick plays. So really, you're just taking one man out of coverage, which is great. One less man to make a tackle downfield.
Because what's the way to me, the only way to beat the Patriots in terms of stopping their passing game, first off, you need to get deflections, which the Texans are very good at doing at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You need Brady to do that because usually, once in a blue moon, and Brady has already had 4 blue moons this season. I'm not talking about the adult soda here.
I was going to say, is he inebriated?
Right,
What's
exactly. I'm not talking about the adult soda when I say Brady has had 4 games this year where he has made some just bad decisions. And it's not the defense that really has put him in that. He was throwing into double coverage.
You mean it's not like the young quarterback pressure trying to squeeze one in. It's the
it's not like Colin Kaepernick's first throw from last night, where it was like, this guy might not be ready for or Peyton's last throw. Right. Tom Brady is going to make the good decisions. So the only way to beat the Patriots' passing game, you have to bracket Wes Welker. You don't cover him man on man. And you know what, Wade Phillips, if you want to sick one cornerback on him, please feel free. Wes Welker will just have 13 catches for 140 yards.
Or bracket him and go man-to-man with linebacker and Grunk.
Right. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. Right there. There creates a lot of it creates a ripple effect any way that you try to focus a certain weakness that immediately that just works out so well. This is why
it's a pick your poison. It's a pick your poison offense with the Patriots.
It's so exciting.
And it's like, I don't know, like a medieval wizard or something.
We're not even talking about Hernandez yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Woodhead.
Oh.
What do you want? Or the
Brandon Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. This is what I mean. It's all about, as you so succinctly put it, the ripple effect of the Patriots offense. You try to go, okay, who do I shut down first? Then you go, okay, if I shut this guy down, how do I stop it from giving an open option to the next guy down on the list? It's amazing. To me, it comes down, I think Wade Phillips would be foolish to single cover Wes Welker. And so I think that are we assuming too much? We were at the Week 17 game against the Dolphins.
Yes, we were.
And this was something that you don't pick up when you're at the game. We could not see Gronkowski favoring that arm all that much.
No.
He dropped the ball he wouldn't have otherwise dropped, and it seemed like the Patriots were running very well that game. Do we think that these 2 weeks helped out Rob Gronkowski more than any other Patriot?
Absolutely. Wow.
Because, this was something we talked about last week.
Right.
Who did the bye help out more?
Rob Ninkovich.
Question.
Answer.
Gronkowski's status during practice.
Probable. Not even questionable.
Okay.
Probable.
Okay. So right there, you're probably assuming when he's a probable that he's getting a lot of reps in practice regardless, right?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, coming off a broken bone, it's going to be.
You've had same
playing football.
Mm-hmm.
It's tender. It's not the same. But then you give it a week, and you get used to playing. You get used to just playing.
And does that cast? Okay, Zeke, you have some of the worst hands in the world. You're not good at very strong, manly hands, yeah. But in terms of the ability to catch footballs, you're a linebacker, not exactly a speed threat on offense.
What, linebacker and a lineman?
Yeah, there you go.
Doesn't equate a...
Mm-hmm. Now, you broke your forearm playing middle linebacker.
Yeah.
You played half a season with a massive cast on your hand. Mm-hmm. How did you do with that cast?
Good, because it was the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can use it as a club, anything.
Were you able to catch a ball with that cast?
Yes.
I seem to recall a fairly good one-handed catch on the sideline for an interception.
Yeah, a couple.
So, while the cast does look bulky, you still have mobility.
It's bulky, but yes, you do. But I consider it carry-on.
But I consider it carry-on.
Yeah, you do have mobility, and after after the first week, after you get a hit, you play a game like Gronkowski's been through, you forget about it.
And that's the thing. It's that first game
like
where you're worried.
Right, exactly. You need to get that hit. You need to see what how it feels, blocking, putting your hands up there, and next thing you know, it's like button up your chin strap. You don't even think about it. It's just another pregame thing to do.
That makes me feel feel good. Yeah, thank you for that one. Yeah. Okay. So Gronkowski's healthy. Ninkovich is healthy. He's probable. All of these guys. Okay. Here's one thing.
Dennard's playing.
Yep.
Talib's playing.
Okay.
Bill Belichick.
He's playing.
10. Bill Belichick took 10 guys off of the injury report.
Wow.
All season, they've had almost 20 guys.
Yeah.
He took 10 guys off of the injury report. That's just Belichick screwing with the NFL right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to show you like how a really good thought out coach can handle the team towards the end of a season, in the sense that they blew out a team like Miami in week 17, which kind of made it possible to rest a lot of the mainline guys, even in that game. And then you get the bye week, which was so important
for health.
For health. Going into this game, we're going to be playing a team that needed a win against a team in Cincinnati that, by most people's measure,
eked it out.
I wasn't. I don't think anybody here was tremendously impressed by what Houston did.
There were one Andy Dalton overthrow to the aforementioned AJ Green from it being Cincinnati,
New England
today.
Yeah, I agree, Jake.
Yeah. So okay, I like that, and so we have to bring it up, and we brought it up last week in the show. Do you feel at all like this week's game, which is it's a rematch of a very recent game, does it feel at all like Jets in 2010? Does it feel at all like that, where the Patriots massacred the Jets 45-3, and then the Jets came back and beat the Patriots in the playoffs? Does it feel at all like that? Do you have any of those premonitions right now?
You have to go back to memory. You have to sit there.
You can't help it.
Right, you can't help it. But the feeling I recall going into the Jets game, you're like, all right, here comes another butt whooping, next round of the playoffs. This game, it's not so much of a butt whooping. It's just the win the game type mentality.
Do you feel like they're back to their machine mode, as you call it?
It's no more show, not like they do showboat, but it's none of the, hoopla and
the FU mode from 2007.
Humble pie.
Humble pie. Even the loss to the 49ers. Yeah, there's no such thing as a moral
graceful
victory.
Loss.
Well, it was bumbling, but I mean, in terms of that loss gave you confidence. I think this team now, and this is something that has been missing, because I think when the Patriots have gone down in the playoffs the last couple of seasons, I think that the Patriots kind of went to, oh no, oh good God, no, this is happening right now.
Right.
Now, just a couple of weeks back, they were down 28 points. And they came back and could have, and I believe should have, won that game. Kyle Arrington, obviously with a bad angle on the Michael Crabtree hot read there to give the 49ers the winning score. But at the same time, Arrington came back and had a great game. The Patriots came back from a massive deficit. There's nothing but confidence there. Now, all of a sudden, this Patriots team, even if they go down, I don't think they have that deer in the headlights mentality that they have had. And maybe I'm being a little bit mean, but I feel like that's been the reaction. And even the fans have had that.
Well, there's also, in the last couple of years, there was an overdependence on what Brady had to do for the Patriots to win. Whereas I don't know so much this year. The defense is much more apt to be
a playmaker
and to force 3 and out,
get the job done.
Right, just get the ball back to the offense, and it's like you gotta keep that in mind that there's a running game.
Is that the most important part?
I think
you can keep mentioning. If you think it's the most important aspect of this year's Patriots,
if you're Tom Brady and you feel if you can't get something going with your passing game, especially the short passing game, we're gonna have to do something between the tackles.
And
gotta get physical.
Your point is only backed up when you look at great quarterbacks like a Dan Marino. Great quarterback, got to a Super Bowl once, didn't obviously win. But the entire thing, I'm sorry, Jake. If you can go through Dan Marino's career, you'd sit there and easily point out, didn't have a running game.
Right.
You can, great quarterbacks can win without a running game. But that's been proven.
But how much easier?
But it's got to be so much easier for a quarterback to know he's got a running game, to give some breathing room.
And I think, you know what, Zeke? That's the perfect way to phrase it, is that it has looked easy for Brady this year. That game against the Texans, it looked easy. Now, because they have to show, the defense has to show their hand.
Yeah.
And if Brady reads the defense correctly, it's over.
It's done.
It's like Manning. If he understands that defense, if he knows what's coming, it's all about execution.
Pre-snap, right. They have the play down.
And who's the best? I think it's easily neck and neck between Brady and Peyton Manning on who is the best executing quarterback.
You can go back and forth. I mean,
it doesn't matter. Depending, yesterday, you can go, okay, it's Brady's the best executing quarterback.
But
Hopefully,
we'll see,
after today, we're not going to say on Monday, Peyton Manning is the best executing quarterback in the NFL.
Well, he's not. Right now.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. You could go back and forth depending. So I like the fact, Sean, you know what? That probably is the biggest difference this year in the playoffs is the running game for the Patriots takes the onus off of Tom Brady. Yes, the game is still going to be won by Tom Brady more than likely because the NFL is a quarterback league and the quarterback is the most important position.
Sure.
But in terms of, does Brady feel, when he woke up today, did he feel, I have to do everything by myself? My offense has to score 45 points, and it has to be all through the air.
And it's not a 45-42 win.
Right. And that's been the feeling going into the playoffs last few years, is that it's been on those shoulder pads at 12.
And yet the defense has played well.
Right. But you still had that same feel. You had that feeling
going into
that
the game, you still had the feeling, okay, yeah, you finished the thought.
Right, where it had to be Brady with his arm. This year, it's like a Nink strip, Jones, a Will Fork play, and I'm not even getting off. I'm not even getting off the D line right now. There's
not in that way.
There's playmakers out there that are not named Tom Brady, and they're going to make their plays.
Fantastic point, a point we will end on for this little segment right now. When we come back, we will talk about how the Patriots dominated the last game and if they can replicate it in this one. For now, we're taking a short break. You're listening to the Hangover Wakeup on WGAM, The Game.
The Bedford Green Luxury Apartments, located on 37 Hawthorne Avenue in Bedford, New Hampshire, invite you this weekend to a special open house, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Bedford Green Luxury Apartments have exceptional views, on-site parking, and 24-hour maintenance. But that's not all. Our units are complete with Energy Star stainless steel appliances and beautiful granite counters. For more information, please visit our website at bedfordgreennh.com, an equal housing opportunity.
Holloway Motor Cars of Manchester, your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer, is proud to announce the certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz Own One event. Take advantage of rates as low as 1.99% on most certified pre-owned models. Upgrading to a Mercedes-Benz has never been easier or more affordable. 1.99% and a 100,000-mile warranty? What are you waiting for? Check out our inventory online at benzcars.com. That's benzcars.com. Offer valid to qualified customers through Mercedes-Benz Financial. See dealer for details. benzcars.com.
What's wrong with your face? If you're over 30 and experience facial redness, it could be an early warning sign of rosacea. It's a common, embarrassing, and often life-disruptive facial disorder that usually gets worse without medical help. Rosacea often begins as flushing or redness on the face that comes and goes. Over time, the redness becomes ruddier and more persistent, and tiny blood vessels may appear. Without treatment, bumps and pimples often develop, and in some people, the eyes may become watery or bloodshot. In advanced cases, the symptoms grow increasingly severe, and the nose may become red and swollen from excess tissue. 16 million Americans have rosacea, yet only a small fraction are being treated. Why let these symptoms wreak havoc on your personal or professional life? Don't ignore the warning signs. Rosacea can easily be treated. See a dermatologist or visit the National Rosacea Society at rosacea.org.
Carlos, you getting ready for bed?
In a minute, Dad. I'm studying.
Well, it's good he's doing his homework.
Something we should be doing.
What do you mean?
You know that guy who called a few days ago from a so-called mortgage rescue company?
Yeah?
He mailed us all these papers to sign.
Think we should?
I heard that many of these people who claim they can save homes from foreclosure are not legitimate, and that we should do our homework, not rush into this. Look, I know we're behind in our payments, but the last thing we need is to be scammed.
A wise decision. McGruff the Crime Dog here. Beware of companies that promise to save your home from foreclosure. It only takes a little time to become informed. Start by finding a free legitimate housing counselor today.
Take the first step. Visit www.ncpc.org/mortgage-fraud. That's ncpc.org/mortgage-fraud. This message is from the National Crime Prevention Council and U.S. Department of Justice.
All right, that's enough of me singing.
Yeah.
Cut it off right there.
Yeah, just going to get stopped.
Not even while you're ahead. Just cut it off.
Just stop. It's over.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Hangover Wake Up with me, Jake Donnelly, my brother Sean, and Zeke Donnelly. We've been talking about the Patriots and Texans matchup, which is going to occur a little bit later this afternoon, exactly at 4:30 in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And the Patriots and Texans played a game a couple of weeks ago that the Patriots dominated. Now, you scholars of New England, who was the player that dominated that game?
Vince Wilfork.
Zeke, do you agree or disagree with Sean?
I'm going to say I
Ray
agree.
Lewis had 7.
It was Vince Wilfork. It was Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
It was Vince Wilfork. Okay. Vince Wilfork dominated that game against the Texans because the Texans like to do what? They to
predicate on the run game.
Mm-hmm. They like to run the ball. If they can't run the ball, then they don't open up their play-action passing. And if you force them into straight dropbacks, Matt Schaub is nowhere near as good of a quarterback.
When he's in shotgun, he's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's in third and long in shotgun, he's almost...
It's
non-existent.
Simple, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like Joe Flacco. Or Mark Sanchez. If you know you are going to throw the ball, if you know they are going to throw the ball, you're fine. Yeah. That's good. It's all about whether or not the Patriots can stop that running game. They were able to stop the running game because of Vince Wilfork, because the Texans tried to do all of those zone traps and zone blocking schemes where you have one guy stacked up and then you're trying to cut Vince Wilfork. But Wilfork had one of the best games I've ever seen him have, which is saying something.
Yeah.
Because I think for 17 weeks, Vince Wilfork had a tremendous game.
Another fantastic year.
If he can get his hands on the blocker, it's fine. If you single block Wilfork, you can't do it.
Yeah.
The only way you can block Vince Wilfork is either double teaming him or if you can actually cut him down.
Yeah.
However, if you can't cut him down, and that's what the Texans do. It's not dirty. It's in the rule book.
I mean, it's legal.
It's just annoying.
But, it's one of those things where some people don't think about it, where a guy like Vince Wilfork can get cut, but he's making the play, especially if it's a running play. That's why they're cutting him. If he still stays in his hole, even in a pile with a lineman or another lineman, it's still effective against the run game because he's creating a cut. They're going to have to cut back. They're going to have to do certain things. And, so even let's say they execute their game plan of chop blocking Wilfork, he still may be making his play.
Right.
And he does do that from time to time. That's how good he is.
Mm-hmm. And Sean, I know you love, like you called Danny Woodhead at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Vince Wilfork, best defensive tackle in the NFL at the beginning of the season. I don't think you've been wrong in those calls. You also had the best picks on our show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Beat Zeke out by 5.
Oh.
You improved on everybody else as Sean's given the little title belt. I'll say this about Aaron Rodgers getting kicked out of the NFL or getting kicked out of the playoffs. Love that. I'm never going to see that stupid wrestling belt till next year. You won 1 Super Bowl. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's tough to win.
Mm-hmm.
Good
They're
for
tough
you.
to win. Mm-hmm. But we're going back to the Texans and Patriots game. Vince Wilfork, does he dominate this game? Again, I'm not going to say does he dominate it as much as he did the last one because I think that would be almost impossible.
I don't know so much on an individual level, but I think as a unit, the defense will probably put up a pretty decent performance today. I'd be surprised if Houston really did much of anything. I don't think Adrian Foster is
Arian.
What did I say?
Adrian.
Arian Foster
Mm-hmm.
is going to have any. He had a big game last week, right?
He had decent. He was over 100 yards. He has the most.
Everything is built around him getting off for that 100 yards or so.
But for their big game, they scored 19 points. It's gonna sound like how I've been wrong on 2 separate Super Bowls with the Patriots, but you're going to need to score more than 19 points to beat the Patriots.
Sure.
That's the thing. Yeah, okay, great. Arian Foster. And if the Patriots can shut down the running game, this isn't a competitive football game. The way to beat the Patriots is the old cliche, keep Tom Brady off of the field. How do you keep Tom Brady off of the field? You have an effective running game. How do they have an effective running game? They're able to cut guys like Vince Wilfork. Rob Ninkovich being healthy is one of the biggest things for this game. One of the most pivotal just points because Rob Ninkovich sets the edge.
Yep.
The Texans run off of the edge. They love those outside zones. It's almost like a replica. I actually just made this a second ago. Finally made the mental connection. The Texans remind me of the Peyton Manning era Colts more than any other team. They've got those zone reads, those stretch plays to the outside.
Yep.
If the Patriots can set the edge, it's done. There's no cutbacks because you're cutting back into Mayo. You're cutting back into Wilfork. And, oh, good God, no one wants to cut back into those two guys.
Nope.
And they're sure tacklers. If the Patriots, it's football. They control the line of scrimmage. They make their tackles.
And set the edge.
It's not a competitive football
a game.
Right.
It's done.
But always much easier said than done for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
So then you talk about, okay, what is the Patriots' glaring problem on the defensive end or on the defensive side?
D-backs.
It's the defensive backs. Aqib Talib being healthy, perfect. Being able to cover Andre Johnson one-on-one, fantastic. Devin McCourty back in the safety spot where not only is he better than he is at quarterback, I think at safety, he's a Pro Bowl caliber safety. He's that good facing the ball. And he's a very sure tackler. And then you've got Steve Gregory, who's done a tremendous job on that real off-safety role where he's able to run the safety traps and jump in front of errant throws a la Devin McCourty in the previous matchup against the Texans.
Right.
So, do you think that the Texans have any way of exploiting the Patriots' defensive backfield?
I mean, it goes back to if they can get the running game together. Schaub's a better quarterback when he's a play-action passer, is he not?
Yes.
The guy's a
And
Pro Bowl caliber player when he can do what he wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think
they're all NFL quarterbacks,
yeah. I mean, it's
Webb.
just, that's true. I mean, not to backtrack or get off subject, but I think that was a winnable game for Minnesota if they'd scored that first drive.
Yep, absolutely.
A
from last week. If they go down and get 6,
I missed last week's show because I didn't feel very good.
Yeah, Shawty had a head boo boo. Yeah. A head.
Hopefully, it doesn't keep you out of the next war.
What's that from?
Heartbreak Ridge.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. Oh God, Clint Eastwood at his absolute best in Heartbreak Ridge. So, do the Patriots have any heartbreak? Is there any chance for the Patriots to have any heartbreak during this game? I'm saying, okay, we're going to put it out. Do you think the Patriots lose this game today?
No.
Okay,
no.
Right. Think on a pure objective level. Take out the homerism. Pretend you're somebody in like
as a football fan.
Right.
No, I don't think the Patriots are going to lose.
Right. It's a 9.5 point spread. I think that's a pretty good spread.
Yeah.
The Patriots have a tendency when they win games to win big.
Let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
Not even so much about winning or losing. Can Houston cover?
Objectively speaking?
Yeah.
No. Objectively speaking, I don't think Houston covers. Objectively speaking, I think the Patriots put up another 42 points. I think that it's 42-17. I do. I think the Patriots defense, I think they're going to dominate the defensive line again.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, they practice with the rackets and they did the whole J.J. Watt
They
thing
put
again.
more rackets up this week.
Yeah, they should just put a net up there now. But they're prepared, and I think there's no better team statistically, right, coming off the bye.
No better team
than the Patriots, and it has everything to do with preparation and just how they play.
I mean, I've been trying. I'm looking at it from every single angle.
Just trying.
Objectively speaking, where are the Texans better than the Patriots? The Texans are best at running the ball and doing play action.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots are a better running team than the Texans are.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots are a better play action team than the Texans are.
Better pass rush.
Mm-hmm. Better pass rush. The Patriots even have better.
I'd say no. I agree with you. I'd say
Watt?
the only thing would be in the pass rush.
Yeah, that's
because the Pats can get their
But
rush
there's no
going.
blocking.
What?
There's no the linebackers
Yeah, no,
aren't
I
there.
mean, Brook-
They've
but
been a completely different
Cushing.
Cushing, excuse me.
Yeah.
I always get the white male linebackers confused.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The pass rush, it's Watt, but Watt he wasn't disruptive at all.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that the Texans D line is better
Who's
than
better? Defensive? Okay, let me put this back. We're
I mean,
just
I was
throwing
just about to
questions
say
out.
it,
I know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I run the show. I get to say it first. Who's better? Patriots offensive line or Texans defensive line? And we'll go front seven.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Pats O line because what they've done this whole year, switching in players everywhere, they do that middle of the game and you don't even realize it.
Right.
And
They brought in Cannon, Donald Thomas. They've all filled in. Filled in admirably.
I just think their front seven is a much more cohesive and malleable line than the D line of Texans.
Were you studying like the SATs or something?
Malleable.
Malleable.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
W.
Concordantly vis-a-vis.
Vis-a-vis, ergo, I win.
I know it's going to pain you, Sean, but do you agree with Zeke?
Yeah, I do. I don't have. It doesn't pain me really.
Okay. It's more if I had said it, that would make.
Yeah, it's when you have a good point, I get more annoyed than anything.
It actually just stops me dead in my
Yeah.
And boom goes the dynamite.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I got to drop out of Tommy for that one.
Yeah, exactly. You set it up very nicely. And he knocked it out of the park. So, yeah, thank you, Tommy Rohr, good, wonderful producer here. Okay, so Patriots, I don't think, objectively speaking, should have any trouble with the Texans. That makes me feel now. This is where I was going.
Now I'm getting a little
Objectively
nervous.
speaking, right,
yeah.
now I'm going, subjectively speaking, as a Patriots fan, does that make you nervous?
Oh, goodness. You'd have to say yes, but I think it's only going to be I'm only going to be nervous when the ball starts popping out or that there's interceptions.
Yeah.
If they play nose up with turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried. But the second they're Pats are on the losing end or the down end of the turnover differential, that's when you start really, sitting on the edge of your seat, biting your fingernails.
I can't see Brady. I said it last year. Okay. I said last year prior to the Super Bowl. I said, I cannot imagine a scenario where Tom Brady has another one of his average games.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't bad. They were average. He just has such a high standard.
Yeah.
And he's in control of the offense. And he had an average game in the Super Bowl. And yet, if Welker comes down with that ball, the Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay, it's that simple. So even with him having the average game, the Patriots were still minutes away from winning the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see it. The problem, though, was I did not realize how much of an issue an unhealthy Rob Gronkowski was going to be.
Yeah, no one could.
As
really.
silly as it sounds, he's the best tight end in the game, and you know what I mean?
I did not. I thought he was.
You're a Pats fan. You're accustomed to the next man up.
Mm-hmm. And just there is nobody, not even Aaron Hernandez.
Hamananui.
Michael,
was
Omen Awanui.
Wow.
There he goes.
All right.
Boomskis. It's like I'm in broadcasting for a living.
He
yeah,
went.
that guy. Although I've heard Jerry Thorne, who we've had as a guest here, his nickname for him is Humba. I like that.
That is much more
So we'll call
workable.
him Mike Humba.
Or he's Humba.
And Daniel Fells. They have all filled in admirably. So now I like that the Patriots have the next man up in these situations. I need to get back to my point, though. I got confused. I got really high on myself of being able to pronounce Humba's name there. So my point was I did not realize how much of an effect an unhealthy Rob Gronkowski was going to have on that game.
Mm-hmm.
Now I honestly, and I'll say it again, and I hope I am proven correct this time, I can't see Tom Brady having another bad game in the playoffs. I think he has missed the Super Bowl. He wants that ring. All NFL players want the ring. In terms of the intensity and passion that they show visibly, I think it's him and Ray Lewis. When in terms of just like the outright passion and the, oh my God, get out of this guy's way, he's a man on a mission type of person.
Yep.
I think it's those two guys. I don't see Tom Brady having it. I see him locked in. I don't see him having a bad game. He's had his bad games. He has 2 bad games a year. He's had 4 this year.
Yeah, and he's had recently in the last, what was it, the Niners game. Yep. He had his bad game.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there, Ridley fumbles, Brady's turning the ball over and you go, you know what? Get him out now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly what's happened. Hopefully, but it seems like, oh God, yeah, I can still turn the ball over. Ridley, I got to cover it up. Brady, I can't throw those. And now they're locked in.
Yeah. And Sean, you mentioned the next man up, which is the mantra of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Every single position, it's next man up. They have been ravaged by injuries this year. They haven't been healthy since the since the Titans in week 1.
Yeah.
They really, honestly, honest to goodness, have had the next man up. Tight end. Daniel Fells, Michael Omenawanui. You have defensive end, Trevor Scott, Justin Francis. You have backfield. You have Kyle Arrington showing up. You have Dennard, who is now in there. You even have Tavon Wilson.
Who's the Scott? Is he the guy he's that speed rush guy?
Yep, Trevor Scott's the speed rush. He was in Oakland for the previous 5 years. He's never been in the playoffs. That's the thing. Everywhere, offensive line, Donald Thomas, Marcus Cannon. Every single position with the exception of quarterback, and I would still feel kind of good knocking on wood, knocking on like a redwood forest right now. I would still kind of feel okay with Mal. Now, I wouldn't be writing home flowery letters and picking daisies if Tom Brady went out and Ryan Mallett had to come in. But it seems like, okay, Stephen Ridley goes out. Shane Vereen, I'm okay with you. Brandon Bolden, I'm okay with you coming in. Danny Woodhead, all of those guys, every single position.
Yeah.
Wide receiver is the only one where it's short. And let me see, who's the guy that's going to fill in? Only Tom Brady's favorite receiver of the last 5 years, Deion Branch.
Yeah.
Every position. Linebacking may be a little bit of an issue. That's where it's really, linebacking is when you get into the special teams guys like
and
Tracy
that's when you
Wilhite.
start pulling Nink off,
Yep, and you put Nink back into the real linebacking position as opposed to like the 3-4, 4-3 linebacker that he's been transitioning between when Hightower was out. But Hightower's back. All of these guys are back. The one place where I think the Texans can exploit is with the D ends that they have both D ends available this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Patriots' front seven being healthy is more important than the Texans having both of their tight ends healthy right now.
I agree.
Okay, so to answer my own question, subjectively, do I feel bad? No. After that little 3-minute rant right there, I feel pretty good.
Was that you asking yourself a question,
rhetorically,
it, and then just touching ground. Okay,
that just all happened.
That just happened.
That's not normal.
And those are the type of things that happen on the Hangover Wakeup. But for right now, we're going to have to take a short break. We'll be back with our last segment of the day, and we'll have our picks and our scores. And we'll talk every last minute detail about Patriots and Texans right when we come back from this break. You're listening to the Hangover Wakeup on WGAM, The Game.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Suffield Academy is one of New England's premier preparatory high schools. The 400-student co-ed school with a 350-acre campus is located in beautiful Suffield, Connecticut, just south of Springfield, Massachusetts, and roughly 2.5 hours from Manchester. The academically rigorous school for grades 9 through 12 features top college placement for its students, with a supportive and encouraging environment and a student-to-faculty ratio of 5-to-1. Suffield Academy also features outstanding athletic and arts programs and facilities, plus a leadership training program that annually impacts each student at Suffield. For more information, log on to www.suffieldacademy.org or call 860-668-7315. That number again is 860-668-7315.
Hey fans, this weekend the Merrimack men's ice hockey team hits the road for a huge Hockey East doubleheader up at arch rival Maine. If you can't make it up to Orono, we've got you covered. You can hear all the action live on WGAM on Friday and Saturday night. Puck drop is set for 7 on both days, meaning our pregame show kicks off at 6:45 on both nights with John Leahy and Mike Matnick. Remember fans, WGAM is the flagship station for Merrimack men's ice hockey all season long. WGAM The Game, 1250 AM Manchester, 900 AM Nashua.
Infinity of Nashua, located at 105 DW Highway in tax-free New Hampshire, has an amazing deal that is simply too good to pass up. Right now at Infinity of Nashua, you can get into a brand new 2013 G37X all-wheel drive luxury sedan on a 2-year lease for just $269 per month. That's with $2,400 cash or trade down, but we're talking about a $40,000 vehicle here. It's got all the bells and whistles you would want: leather heated seats, power sunroof, backup camera, Bose Studio on-wheel sound system, plus it really moves with a 328 horsepower V6 engine. The service center is top-notch. Their loaner cars are available for each car that comes in for service. Plus, your car will be hand-washed and vacuumed every time it comes in to visit. So what are you waiting for? This amazing lease deal on a brand new G37X all-wheel drive sedan for just $269 per month for 2 years will not be around forever. Infinity of Nashua is located at 105 DW Highway and can be found online at infinityofnashua.com.
Bud Light salutes Patriots fans and all their superstitions. Like the fans committed to not washing their lucky jerseys. And the fans who sit next to the fans committed to not washing their lucky jerseys. Patriots fans do whatever it takes. It's only weird if it doesn't work. Bud Light, for all the fans and all they do. Here we go.
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easy with the food pyramid. Be active and eat the right amount of grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Yeah, man.
For a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Oh, yeah. We got one more segment left. You're listening to the Hangover Wakeup. I'm Jake Donnelly. With me is my brothers, Sean and Zeke Donnelly. We've been talking Patriots for the last hour, and why not, as the Patriots have their divisional round matchup against the Texans at 4:30. So now the countdown, Sean, less than 5 hours away. Are you excited? Just a little bit. Just a wee bit. Just a little bit. Zeke.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was so blinded with excitement that what was the question?
Patriots, Texans, we talked about pretty much every single matchup available. We talked about the strengths of each team. Now it gets down to the juicy stuff. How's the game going to play out, Zeke?
It's going to start, there's going to be a middle, and it's going to end.
I think whichever team scores more points will have a better chance of winning.
And playing the next week.
All times. I think honestly, I'm going to say Pats win, and I'm going to say it's going to be based just like every off-the-run game. Then they're going to start. Texans are going to start panicking. They're going to start blitzing, and then I think it's going to come to little in-and-out passes by the Pats that they're so good at, patented. And then I think a big one will open up eventually down the road.
So
and I don't think it's going to be.
Houston's not going to rush the quarterback early?
Well, I think
that's what I want to know. Are they blitzing, or are they trying to get it done with 4-man rushes? The only way to beat the Patriots is with a 4-man rush.
Historic.
If you're the Texans, you gotta come out. You can't blitz first because you can't.
You saw what happened when you blitzed.
You can't take someone coverage off of a wide receiver or a tight end and let Brady throw. If you're the Texans, the Pats have to beat you with their running game, and you have to make them by only putting 4 down linemen.
You like that? You think that Wade Phillips is going to try?
You've been all over it today, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
amazing what a weekend
impressed.
of not drinking does. Sharp as a tack. Ooh.
And we are on the Hangover Wakeup. It's an aptly named show usually we see here. But, okay, Sean, do you think Wade Phillips and his not athletic Wes Welker is going to go for rush?
I think he'll probably come up with a pretty decent game plan as far as what they're going to try to do to stop New England. But, this was a team that had a defensive scheme in place that didn't have to factor in a Rob Gronkowski when they played.
Right, and that's such a big – it's an entirely different offense with him on and it's a better offense.
And
he's the best tight end in the game.
It's unfortunate for the Texans because you can sit there and you can watch all the film you want and, talk to players around the league and see what they think about covering them and how to cover it. But he's one of those players you need the experience, the actual physical hands-on how to play him. Mm-hmm. And it's something they didn't get, and I think it's going to come up and, Forrest Gump, CMH, bite him in the buttocks.
Yeah.
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Thank you. Okay, welcome aboard.
Zeke's been going a lot with the Heartbreak Ridge. That's where they say the CMH. Best blocking tight end in the game. All of us here think that the blocking is going to be there. He's healthy. Zeke said he's got the 1 weekend. And Zeke talks about from experience having played football at a fairly physical position of middle linebacker and offensive line with a broken forearm. Almost the same injury that Rob Gronkowski had. that all you need is that 1 week. And luckily for Gronkowski, that first week back was 2 weeks ago. And he didn't do any damage. And now he's had 2 weeks worth of practices to really feel it out so that there's no hesitation. I'm just having trouble trying to see it. Okay, so Patriots should not have a problem with the Texans. It could happen, obviously, because any given Sunday, and as we've seen as Patriots fans, any given Sunday, the Patriots can come up with those games where you just don't know what's going on, and you have that feeling, that little dread, that pit in your stomach, kind of like watching the Red Sox bullpen in the 1990s. Like when Heathcliff Slocum came jogging out of the bullpen, and it felt like someone threw you just swallowed a medicine ball. Yeah, it's just there is that pit of the stomach. Now, I've asked, is that pit, is it in your stomach? Is it gonna start growing anytime between now and 5 hours?
I've had no anxiety about this.
Yeah,
no. Normally,
I was about to say,
if I have those anxious feelings, they kind of tend to be
spot
on. Yeah.
But no anxious feelings.
Not this playoffs. I don't feel the same way.
Okay. Is this
Maybe
the strongest?
you just went to the bathroom before.
Maybe with cranky.
Is this the best Patriots team since 2007?
Yes.
Yes.
Knocking on wood. We've got guys knocking on wood here. Okay. Best Patriots team. Well, because they have every facet.
They're all around.
They're all around. Even the defense. And I think people treat that
especially
defense.
The defense.
Especially the defense. They say, they got lit up. They got lit up against the 49ers. They kind of shut down the 49ers there in the second half.
And there
was a lot of turnovers.
Right. You also have to look at field position and things like that.
And they force turnovers. This defense forces turnovers. Now, that is where the Patriots might get into a little bit of trouble, is that the defense is predicated on forcing turnovers. And when they can't force turnovers, they usually, historically speaking, have gotten into trouble. However, this defense, with the addition of Talib the last couple of weeks, this has been a defense where they force 3 and outs when they need 3 and outs. They did it against Jacksonville in a game where they both sides of the ball just bleh.
Yeah, it was not a good game.
Kitty, bleh. They forced the 3 and outs in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And yes, did they need a end zone interception from Devin McCourty? Yes. However, that's what good defenses do. Yeah. You saw the Ravens last night against the Broncos. They forced the turnovers when they needed to. They forced Peyton Manning into 2 interceptions. The first one wasn't necessarily forced. It was a gimme on a missed pass interference. Yeah. But that's what good defenses do. Good defenses force the 3 and outs.
Yep.
That's what they do. They force the 3 and outs. They force the turnovers. As Sean had said earlier in the program, good defenses just get the job done. It doesn't matter how it's done.
And it doesn't matter where in the field, just as long as the end result.
And even the special teams. Patriots special teams are good. You would like to have Julian Edelman, obviously, but you know what? He gets hurt. He's out on IR, but it's not like he got hurt and he's out on IR last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, they played half a season without Edelman.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are no positions, and I keep harping back to that one fact about the next man up for the Patriots.
Yeah.
But the reason I do that is because that is the one thing that has always scared me. You think, oh, good God, if this guy goes down, what are the Patriots going to do? With the exception of Tom Brady, I don't think Belichick could have asked for a better turnout for the season, especially right now. Right now, everything is in the Patriots' hand. The Patriots are in the driver's seat. More so than any other time during this season.
Right.
The Patriots have not been the number 1 seed at all. Week 1, they were the number 1 seed.
Well, they're the highest remaining seed.
But this is what I mean. This is what I mean. All of a sudden now they're the de facto number 1 seed.
Sure.
They're in the driver's seat. Do you think does Belichick has them ready? Belichick, is this the machine Patriots? The FU 2007, we're marching down. We're not even going to take joy. This is the Russian army
Jake,
hockey
you
team.
can talk like this now. Yes.
And
you're allowed.
Honestly, I'm really excited to see.
Yeah.
Belichick always holds back little
Yes.
You know, like
I love playoff Belichick.
Like 2 down linemen, and one of them isn't Wilfork, like him standing up on the end.
Right.
This is going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a different atmosphere, different type of game.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be
Football's
interesting.
fun.
Yeah, and this is okay. We've been talking about all game long, but Zeke, this is the point. I'm so happy you brought it up. I was waiting until the last 5 minutes of the show to bring it up. The Patriots' defense historically, even though people think the last 5 seasons or so has not been good, in the playoffs they have been better than average. They've been one of the best defensive teams. The reason that the Patriots were in both of the Super Bowls is because the defense had stepped up. The defense, obviously, everybody thinks that, they need the fourth quarter stop. Well, guess what? The Giants in the Super Bowl, it's not like the Giants put up 42 points. No, they put up a combined 37 points in the 2 Super Bowls. That's nothing. The Patriots defense ramps it up. Belichick loves to do, as I've heard it phrased, the vanilla defense throughout the entire season. The last couple of weeks of the regular season, now he was kind of showing his cards. He was using the linebacking blitzing. They were sending spikes. Yeah. They were sending Hightower on the run blitzes. And oh my God, how good do they look on those run blitzes?
People don't realize how athletic. They're SEC linebackers. And you look at Hightower and you're like, no. They're all athletic and they're quick within 10 yards within the line of scrimmage. And they're going to start utilizing them. And I think you're going to see a real good showing from a guy like Dante Hightower.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we talked about it before earlier in the program. The way that the Texans are going to beat the Patriots, if they do, is with the run game. The way that the only part that the Patriots defense is weak right now is linebacking coverage.
Oh, yeah, so perfect. Don't put him in coverage, put him in the box.
They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz, run blitz.
Yeah.
And just as a little heads up, the run blitz is different from the passing blitz in that you're just blowing up the holes.
Right.
You already have you've already diagnosed that it's going to be a run play. Where a lot of people get beat with the blitzes is picking
wrong hole.
Right, wrong hole, wrong side of the formation, and a good audible. Schaub doesn't really call a lot of audibles. He called almost none in the last game.
Especially because when he calls those audibles, it puts him back in a shotgun. It's not where he wants to
and
be.
They're
he's
not
comfortable.
They're not a good shotgun draw team. They're not a good shotgun. They do have they're pretty good with the screens. Pretty good. Not Patriots level. And the Patriots offense hasn't even shown those screens yet.
No, the Houston offensive line just isn't as athletic, and it shows. But they're designed to not show their athleticism by being
cut
ground
blockers,
and pound.
they're zone guys, and when they're doing their job, they're one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
And I think
but there's nobody like Vince Wilfork.
Right, and who knows what it's going to be? Is it Schaub that's going to take him out of that game? Is it Wilfork going to shut down the running game?
But that's what we're going to find out at 4:30.
Yep.
But look into your crystal ball, Zeke. What's going on at 4:30? 8 o'clock. What's the final score going to be?
Oh, ha ha ha. I'm gonna have to say Pats win, and I will go 31-17.
31-17. Sean,
that's pretty. I think 34-14.
34-14. And I'm gonna go almost exact replica of the previous game. I'm going to go 42-17.
Let's do.
I'm going to go 42-17. I just, from my objective standpoint, completely taking out my homerisms, I think the Patriots are just going to run roughshod.
Yeah.
I think that they have everything. We kept discussing. You look at every single aspect of this game, and the Patriots have the advantage in almost every single aspect, with the exception of the Texans' defensive pass rush, with the exception of the defensive pass rush of the Texans. So I see the Patriots being able to do whatever they want in this game and taking it home. And with that, we are going to take it home here on the Hangover Wake Up. For Zeke and Sean Donnelly and Tommy Rowe, our producer, I'm Jake Donnelly saying thank you for tuning in yet again. We'll be live next week, same time, 10 o'clock in the morning. Go Pats!
One thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.